On this episode, we're going to be talking about sales hacking.
Welcome to Thriving Launch with Luis Congdon and Kamala Chambers, the show for heart-centered entrepreneurs who want it all.
Maybe you can relate to this. When I was a full-time coach, I found that I had to keep repeating the same things to people over and over and over again, and it got to be kind of draining, and I wasn't really enjoying what I was doing anymore. So what I decided to do was record the things that I had to tell clients over and over and over again. And then I packaged those recordings together and sold them as an online course. If you're interested in creating and selling your own online course, head over to thrivinglaunch.com and I have a free training for you on how to create and make passive income through your own online course.
Today's guest is Max Altschuler. He's one of the first 10 employees at Udemy who helped them become a multi-billion-dollar company. He's also helped with companies like Attorney Fee Marketplace that was acquired by LegalZoom. And he is also the founder of Sales Hacker, a media company that helps companies figure out how to really thrive with sales. All right, Thriving Launchers, let's dive in. Max, can you get us started and tell us what exactly is sales hacking?
Yeah, so like hacking anything else, really is just finding ways to do more with less. So finding ways to generate more revenue using less resources. I started sales hacking when I was in an early stage startup called Udemy, which is not so early stage anymore. They do like online courses and online education. And we didn't have a lot of resources, but we had to scale fast. So we had to find ways to generate more revenue using less resources. And that means less financial resources, less human capital resources, so headcount. We didn't have a big brand behind us. So we had to find ways to kind of hack our sales process.
Let's hear some of the top tips that you learned along that process for sales hacking.
Yeah, well, a lot of it was, leveraging automation in our process. So you look at a normal sales process. I wrote a book on it called Hacking Sales, but you take a normal sales process. So going from understanding who your buyer is, creating the messaging around how to appeal to that buyer, getting in front of them by emailing them, calling them, hitting them up on LinkedIn or Twitter, then having the conversation, doing the demo, nurturing them throughout the deal. Obviously, I left out getting their contact information to contact them in the first place. So it's all these different steps that are part of a normal sales process, and finding ways to get leverage inside of that sales process or automate certain areas of it. So nothing replaces the salesperson, but a lot of things can help supplement the salesperson to do their job better. So for example, if you're a early stage company or even just an account executive at a large company and you need more support, you can go out and get a team of virtual assistants in the Philippines to do a lot of the legwork for you on web scraping, data analysis, and even responding to some emails or LinkedIn's or tweets or on your behalf based on certain canned responses. So that's something we did at Udemy. We had a team of VAs in the Philippines that were kind of acting as our sales development reps, so the top of the funnel kind of gatekeepers for our sales team. And a lot of times in sales, people get this confused. You're not trying to get as many people in, and you're actually sometimes acting as a bouncer. So you're qualifying people at the top of the funnel. It's not about talking to everyone. It's about talking to the right people. Otherwise, you're just kind of wasting your time. So finding ways to make your sales machine more efficient and somewhat automated. And there's a lot of technology out there that we used now that you can use, but a few things that existed early on that we had at our fingertips, like a company was called ToutApp, and we used them to do email sending. And now you have companies like Outreach that allow you to do email, dialer, LinkedIn, SMS, all from one sales engagement platform. So there's plenty of technology out there that people can use to help do this, make it more efficient and make it more automated.
When you talk about being a bouncer at the beginning of the funnel, what are some things that you think people should consider when they're creating that top of the funnel, or when they're kind of starting that process?
Yeah, it's really important to define your ideal customer profile. So, for Udemy, we wanted to find instructors who had, were experts in a certain area, who also potentially had taught courses before in the past, so they would have, an understanding about how to use the camera, how to use the microphone, how to use editing software, all this kind of stuff. If you found somebody who already had online courses out there, and then you needed them to put them on your platform, at Udemy, obviously you had a much higher chance of success than finding somebody who didn't already have a course. The person that already had a course could put their current course on. They could easily create new courses. Obviously, they already had the expertise and the experience doing so. Versus somebody who had never created a course might have to figure all that out from scratch. And then your least ideal customer profile, like the least ideal person, is somebody who had never created a course before and might not even have any expertise in that area, just happens to be somebody who, is on the internet talking about it. So, it's really just those different layers of, all right, here's like a normal person who has no engineering experience. If I want them to teach a course in PHP, they are definitely not the right person. Then here's somebody who has, who's on on Twitter talking about PHP, but they don't have a course on the internet or a book or any other expertise. They're probably not ideal either. Then there's the next person who, has a book on the subject but doesn't have a course. All right, they could get a course, but it's going to take them a little while to do it. And then there's the person who already has a course created, who can put their current course on there and can create other courses very easily. So if you look at the 4 different levels of that ideal customer that I can go after, I'd rather spend all my time going after the first bucket, and then maybe like 10% of my time going after the second bucket, seeing if people will teach courses. But my low-hanging fruit is really that first bucket, the people who already have courses. So if you're early on or you're an AE, find time searching for that low-hanging fruit or fruit that's already on the ground before you start going after, that hard to reach stuff, because you really, in a lot of cases, don't need to do it. And so you actually want to disqualify people from being, your ideal customer profile more than you want to just reach for, everything that's there.
What's some of the biggest mistakes that you've found yourself making or your clients making when it comes to making sales that we could all avoid if we knew about them?
I mean, the biggest mistake that I see and that I fell victim to early in my career was just being impatient. I think in the hyper growth, the hyper growth like mentality or mental state that a lot of these companies have, they are very impatient about their sales processes because they got to get it from somewhere. And like the key to this is just having a fat pipeline and being really good at the top of the funnel. Then you can be a lot more patient. But what people don't realize is most of the times, unless it's a really transactional like SMB sale, most of the time, when you're reaching out and you're making a connection, that's just a step in the process. You're not going to close the deal from that, that first touch. And so you see a lot of people writing these like really long, like bulky emails because they think they're going to get so much of their point across that this person's going to buy right away. And it's really just about getting into the conversation. So, shortening those emails, making things clear and concise and conversational so you can open a conversation that gets you to the discovery call, that gets you to the demo, that gets you to the next step of the sales process. If you're doing deals that aren't just somebody swiping their credit card on your site, you have to be patient and you have to go step by step.
Max, that's something that I think is really important because not too long ago I hired someone to help me with the pitching process, and their formula was do research on the company, find out who they are, some of the weaknesses that they have, find out who the people in charge are, who you're really going to contact. Mm-hmm. And then you write this really long, bulky email complimenting them on their successes, letting them know who they are. and then giving them some tips on how they can improve their business and some things that you saw that could help them because you're the kind of person that does this kind of work. Then social proof, then links to social proof, and then asking, and then stats, research stats as to why the tips that you gave are very useful, and then asking them to get on a discovery call. I would say that that was I tried that method, didn't work. It was really hard. And then basically what I did is I just took do your research, write them something that's pretty personal with a headline that feels personal. And then for the most part, you kind of copy and paste a lot of the email after just connecting with the personal thing, but keeping it short.
Yeah. Keeping it conversational is key. You can follow up with all that other stuff later. You have to have some kind of attention grabber, and you should do the research, find something thoughtful you can say that's going to be something that can start a conversation, but not so long where I'm going to look at it and then close it. And think about, like, most of these people are checking these emails on their phone. If it's too long, it's too daunting, and I don't know you, I'm immediately closing it. I'm not going to read it. But if it's like 1-2 sentences and it's asking me a question about something I was just doing research on, and you can find that out, then that's interesting. Also, another way to do it is go through a back channel. So if you want to get in touch with me and sell to me, certainly the best way to do it is through somebody in my network who is a trusted advisor, so to speak, or somebody I respect. And if you get an intro from them, I'm probably going to have to take the call at some point. Might not be immediately, but at some point I'll probably have to get on the phone with you. So that's another way to get in, and there are ways to automate that too. There are plenty of technologies out there now that allow you to see who you and everyone at your company are connected to at other target accounts. So if you have your ICP and you go and build a list of the target accounts that fall within that ICP, or the target companies, you can call it, then figure out who at those companies a common connection might know, and then use them to get in the back door.
So, Max, before we wrap out here, I would love to hear from you. What are some of the softwares that you see are working really well, ranging from some of the more expensive ones? I know there's some softwares that are, like 10, 15 grand a year, which is, if you can make your money back, isn't a lot, but for the average person, that might be quite a big investment. And then I know that Salesforce, for example, you can pay them like $1,000 a month, and they have a team of VAs go out and do the scraping and do the emailing and all that kind of stuff. But what are some softwares or tools that you would recommend for people to check out, varying in prices?
Yeah, I mean, LinkedIn Sales Nav is probably like the one thing I recommend for everyone. Price agnostic. I mean, like, if you're building a sales process, you probably need a license there. Next is like a sales engagement tool. So if you're at a larger company and you have budget and you need some like robust capabilities, like Outreach is a great one. For smaller companies that don't have as much money to spend, you can use like a Mixmax. And then, bigger companies can use a Discover.org to get contact information and headcount information, and kind of look at the org chart. The Zoom Info, Clearbit are other good ones there. Twofer, TOOFR, is another good one, and Listio for job change notifications. Drift is a really good chat bot, chat tool. So they're like kind of the leaders in conversational marketing. Gong is a call analysis and conversational intelligence tool. So if you're a manager and you have a team of reps, that's another really good one to make sure everybody's kind of doing the best practices. That's let's see, what are like the smaller kind of point plays. Lead IQ, another good one for contact info and ICP information. So yeah, that's a pretty good suite. And I wrote a book on it called Hacking Sales, so there's a lot of information there. And then obviously on saleshacker.com, we have blog posts on this stuff all the time.
All right, Max, we've been talking about sales hacking, and I encourage everyone who's listening to just go out and find one thing that you can apply today and come back to this interview again, because Max has given us so much valuable content. Everyone, keep thriving and start sales hacking. You've been listening to the Thriving Launch podcast. For books and resources related to today's episode, make sure to head over to thrivinglaunch.com. We'll see you there.